打造精品人生。
Make a premium quality life. Day for Buddha, December 10, 2006. Translated by Tongxin and edited by Kayer. The products made in factories are classified into different ratings. There are premium quality products, inferior quality products, defective products, and waste products. Due to varying technologies and varying levels of professional dedication of different workers, different quality levels of products are produced from the same mold. In the same field and with the same seeds, because the operators' levels of experience and diligence are different, the quantity of their crops will also be very different. Everyone shares inborn natures of God, Buddha, and celestial beings, and the natures of matter, animals, and humanity. Due to the differences of time, family environment, education, self-motivation, and other variables, some people will eventually achieve glorious premium quality lives, while others are forced to endure inferior quality lives or even lives filled with suffering. Although human history has existed for thousands of years, nobody has ever given clear guidance to people on how to make a premium quality life, so I will venture to share my opinion on this topic. A premium quality life has the characteristics of these following 8 qualities. 1. They must create something for society and let many people benefit from it. What they attain must be far less than what they contribute. 2. They never hurt anyone, but if they do cause unintentional pain or suffering, they must compensate their victims fairly. 3. They bring joy and hope to many people. 4. There is only love but no hatred in their hearts. 5. They are diligent, simple, kind, honest, and trustworthy, and they must dare to take responsibility for their actions. 6. They revere the greatest creator, revere life and nature, and they are cultivated and civilized. 7. They love many people and are loved by them in return. 8. They are kind, understanding, full of vitality, and they are positive and optimistic. As long as one can reach the above 8 standards, they will lead a premium quality life. I can assure you that most people want to achieve the standards of premium quality lives, but how can they achieve it? Jade cannot become beautiful art without skillful carving, gems cannot become shining ornaments without processing, and one cannot be a premium quality person without cultivation. No matter how good-looking the mold is, if the materials are not processed correctly, they cannot become useful products. I propose the following 8 ways which should be enough to help guide you toward achieving a premium quality life. 1. Choose the people you befriend and the groups with whom you associate cautiously. He who stays near cinnabar gets red. He who stays near ink gets stained black. Be with those who are cultivated, positive, and optimistic. Avoid associating with those who are negative and pessimistic, and who complain and disrespect others. 2. Be grateful at all times on everything and in all places. As long as you have the ability to help people, do not haggle over every ounce, but rather contribute your talents and wisdom unconditionally. 3. Be a lifelong diligent worker. Attain fruits through your own labor and creation. Do not be greedy, and do not cling to anything that does not rightfully belong to you. 4. When dealing with benefits, whether it is between brothers and sisters, friends and relatives, neighbors and acquaintances, or co-workers and associates, you should lag behind and award the most benefits to others. 5. Never put chains on the people you love. On the contrary, allow them the widest berth and the most freedom. 6. Help others to achieve success. Never be jealous or become barriers to them. 7. Have more than 8 bosom friends who treat each other with sincerity. 8. Revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, and walk on the way of the greatest creator. Life is a kaleidoscope. The kinds of flowers that will blossom depend on its physical structure, and the kind of life that one can achieve depends on the structure of their consciousness. Therefore, the core question is not on the elements of the uncontrollable objective environment, but on the interior quality of the people themselves. As you approach the mountain, you will learn the tweeting of birds. As you approach the water, you will know the free swimming of fish. As you worship the Buddha, you will acquire the nature of the Buddha. As you seek celestial beings, your dream of becoming one will materialize. As long as we have the will to make premium quality lives, we will realize this ideal unconsciously. It is an imperceptible process. I hope everyone will achieve premium quality lives.
获得开心、快乐、自由、幸福的途径。
The ways to obtain joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. Jiefeng. June 15, 2010. We yearn for a joyful, happy, free, and blessed life. We pray for a joyful, happy, free, and blessed life. But how can we make our wish become reality? First, we should grasp the tenet, that is, we should hold in respect and awe the greatest creator, life, and nature, and should follow the way of the greatest creator. This is the precondition for the accomplishment of our aspirations. Secondly, we should get rid of contention, fight, comparison, jealousy, complaint, and possession, and try our best to be free from an ego, a personality, a being, a life, a dharma, a non-dharma. Our mind should not reside anywhere but blend with nature. We should also understand that the process of life is a game and we should be good at playing games. The above requirements are the basic guarantee for the achievement of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing. However, simply meeting the above requirements is not enough. We must also pay attention to the way to achieve these goals. One can only get joy from living in the collective that shares the frequency and resonance. One cannot get joy by living alone. Neither can one get joy from living with people that do not share the same frequency with you. Therefore, we should seek the group that share our frequency and resonate with us. We should work, study, play games, and live with them. Happiness derives from labor and creation. A lazy person that does not work and create shall never understand what happiness is. Only those who engage them actively in work and creation can experience the feeling of happiness in their own labor and creation. Freedom does not fall from the sky and thus should be earned through earnest endeavors. Freedom is not given by anyone. Instead, one should protect his right endowed by heaven. One should say no firmly and resolutely when the freedom of one's soul, spirit, and flesh is restricted by a theory, a sermon, a way of thinking, a program, a system, an individual, or a group of people. Freedom is the most precious thing in life. If you lose freedom, you subject yourself to the status of a slave who has no freedom. One should pay a cost for the obtainment of freedom. It would only be lunatic ravings to wish for the gain of freedom effortlessly. Without great affliction and hard tempering, it is very difficult to march from the realm of necessity to the realm of freedom. Blessing is derived from unselfish devotion. The more unselfish devotion one makes, the more blessing he will have. A selfish and self-centered person who only lives for himself all his life will never experience the feeling of blessing. The person who devotes himself unselfishly to the blessing of mankind and all lives is the most blessed person in the world. The more unselfish service one renders, the more blessed he will be, and the less unselfish service one renders, the less blessed he will be. Let's forge ahead and make our way to the life realm of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessing.
努力培养完整独立意识。
Making effort to cultivate an Integrated and Independent Consciousness Shuifeng. May 12, 2011, translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Self-harmony is the supreme realm of self-cultivation. In order to achieve it, one must have an integrated and independent consciousness, and practitioners need to cultivate their own ones continuously. When your own consciousness is no longer influenced or interfered with by the consciousnesses of fellow humans, yours will have achieved self-consistency, namely Tathagata. Then the most beautiful stage of life will be unveiled. Contradictions, conflicts, annoyances, pains, anxieties, and sorrows come mostly from incomplete and dependent consciousnesses. That is, when you do not have an integrated and independent consciousness, you will be caught in dilemmas, vacillation, risky recklessness, and be lost in those aforementioned maladies. When you encounter problems but have no idea how to deal with them, you should listen to the words and advice of others, but it is easy to become confused, injure yourself, or even follow the wrong path. This would result from your lack of an integrated and independent consciousness. Having your own opinion on everything will allow you to know how to deal with all affairs, and your life will be left with few regrets. The more that you depend on the outside, the more you will be influenced and controlled by outside consciousnesses, the more passive you will be, and the more you will become slaves and vassals to other consciousnesses. As a result, you will not find your true self and your nature of origin will be submerged. Not to mention becoming a celestial being or achieving Buddhahood, it would even be difficult to conduct yourself as a person. How could your life not be painful? The difference between slaves and slave owners is that slaves do not have their own integrated and independent consciousnesses, but slave owners have their own relatively integrated and independent consciousnesses. There is a pet phrase following people's advice and bread will be coming, which is not only a bait from slave owners to slaves, but also words that those who have relatively integrated and independent consciousnesses say to those who lack them and remain undecisive on everything. Adhering to one's own opinion, insisting on one's own ways, remaining stubborn and rigid, and sticking to dogma are not expressions of integrated and independent consciousnesses. The so-called integrated and independent consciousness shows that one's own values, outlook on life and outlook on the universe conform to the way of the greatest creator. On this basis, one can handle all affairs on their journey through life without being influenced or interfered with by others' consciousnesses. So, how do we cultivate integrated and independent consciousnesses? 1. Understand the origins of the universe, of life, of humanity, and their moving and their revolutionary trends. 2. Understand the values, meanings of life, the principles of life and its evolutionary program. 3. Understand roughly Tao's features and operating mechanism, the laws of the universe including causality and that the sum of negative and positive energy always equals zero. 4. Understand the main meaning of the way of the greatest creator. 5. Understand the meaning and mystery of space, especially 20 parallel worlds and 36-dimensional spaces. 6. Understand the non-material, what lies within it, its values and effects, and the non-material world. 7. Have a clear picture of your own condition and the direction of your efforts over time. 8. Able to observe human society from a higher perspective. Understand its operating mechanism and its advantages and disadvantages. One is unable to cultivate an integrated and independent consciousness until they have finished these 8 courses. They might form an independent consciousness, but without integrity, it would be flawed, go to extremes easily, be blind and even harmful, and lead easily to despotism and dictatorship. Concentrate on the main point. Once the key point is grasped, everything else will fall into their proper places. After finishing the 8 courses above, one will have a clear mind and their own opinion for dealing with everything. Then the boundless universe will no longer be complicated and unfathomable. The journey of life will no longer be full of confusion and hardships, and the path of life will no longer be a cycle of rebirths. Most of the injuries that we suffer in our lifetimes are caused by our relationships with other people, and the direct reason is that we do not have integrated and independent consciousnesses. The conflicts of consciousnesses between people are the greatest conflicts and problems in life. To reduce them, we should begin by having consciousnesses that are integrated and independent. Then we should be free from the influence and control of others as far as possible. Only then will we be able to finally unite with Tao and achieve complete self-harmony. Life Genuine is the final course for people, and Chanyuan celestials who fully comprehend the meaning of Life Genuine stand on the summit of human wisdom. No one can guide them further because they have acquired integrated and independent consciousnesses gradually, and know how to deal with all affairs by taking the way of the greatest creator. Even I, their guide, would have no more influence over them because we gradually become the same, resonating in harmony to the same frequency, and the problem of interplay or interference will no longer exist. This is why I always stress that I am just a guide, not a master or a savior of humanity, because we are ultimately equal and independent of each other. I expect that all of you will make the effort to cultivate and form your own integrated and independent consciousnesses as soon as possible, to be free from the bondage, shackles, and control of the consciousnesses of others, and to leave the kingdom of necessity for the realm of freedom.
穿越模糊沼泽地
Pass through the fuzzy swamp. Jiefeng. March 30th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kayer. Yesterday, I proposed that if something is not helpful, then it is harmful, but if it is harmless, then it is beneficial. Then I asked everyone to help verify whether my proposition is true. As a result, there were many different opinions and no consensus. Where is the problem? It lies in the fuzzy area, that is, it is impossible to determine whether it is or is not, or whether it is right or wrong. The fuzzy zone is more correctly a fuzzy swamp. Your judgment can easily be trapped, which makes you choose wrongly. In fuzzy swamps, it is difficult for us to know what is bright or dark, up or down, forward or backward, correct or incorrect, right or wrong, beautiful or ugly, good or evil, dead or alive. In fuzzy swamps, Taiji thinking loses completely its effectiveness and there are no opposing parties. It is a fuzzy zone, a state of chaos. It is like Schrödinger's cat, impossible to know whether the cat is dead or alive. It is a roll of the dice, impossible to determine whether it will be heads up or tails up. It is gambling, impossible to know whether it will win or lose. It is a Mobius strip, you cannot tell the front side from the back side. When it is impossible to make a judgment about a phenomenon, a thing, or an event, it shows that we are in a fuzzy swamp in which we either run around blindly or wait patiently. In human life, when we are faced with a choice, we often enter a dilemma. What should we do? Should we continue in a relationship or end it categorically? Should we go abroad or stay put? Should we keep our secure job or to start a new business? Is it better to rent a house or to buy one? Is it better to follow Buddhism or Christianity? Should we run away from home or stay in the same place where we have always been? Should we have noodles for dinner or pancakes? Is it better to wear casual clothes or a suit? Such situations make it difficult to choose because we are in fuzzy swamps. There is a period of time between dusk and nightfall which is a fuzzy zone that can also be called a buffer zone or a transition zone. We cannot say that the sky is dark or bright. We can only say that the sky is not quite either. In this vague area, my proposition, if it is not helpful, it will be harmful. If it is harmless, it will be beneficial, does not hold because we cannot figure out whether certain things, people, opportunities, or viewpoints are harmful or beneficial. The duration of a fuzzy zone can be as short as a few seconds, such as the rolling of dice, as long as several decades, such as self-cultivating to attain Tao, or even a whole lifetime, such as life and death. These fuzzy zones are swamps. In our lives, it is easy for us to be trapped in them and lose our way, which consumes our precious time and energy and ruins our bright futures. In my opinion, the so-called all living beings refers to people who have been trapped in fuzzy swamps all their lives, being busy all their lives and knowing neither where they came from nor where they are going and not knowing the true meaning of their behavior. They can only be like duckweed on a lake, swept up and down by the waves of the times, chasing the wind with confused thinking, and minds as transient illusions or passing clouds. They do not know what they are doing on any day. I have observed these sentient beings in WeChat groups. Most of them are confused and are just messing around or being taken advantage of in killing their spare time. I have also observed the articles reposted in the Friends Moments. From the articles reposted by anyone, you can see their virtue, sentiment, and cultivation, and know whether or not they are in a fuzzy swamp. When we are in fuzzy swamps, we need to remain calm and not decide anything. But one thing that we must do is to keep a close eye on the direction to which we are going, because when we are in a fuzzy swamp, we will not even know when we can reach our destination. It is just because of this that we are easily confused, slackened off, decadent, taking the wrong direction, or expending energy on goals that are opposite to our direction, which will ultimately lead to our failure even on the verge of success. For example, I started to learn English by myself in 1979. My method and direction of learning English was to travel abroad. From then on, I kept studying every day of every month, every year, never missing a single day except for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. However, I never knew, even if I could go abroad, where my opportunities would be. This continued for more than 14 years, during which the cynicism and blow to my confidence never ceased, and during this time I was actually in a fuzzy swamp. However, because of my continuous persistence of focusing on my target, I finally passed through the fuzzy swamp in 1993, reached my destination, and realized my wish to go abroad. Along this course, I once changed my direction. I went to study Chinese at Lanzhou Institute of Education, and after one semester, I found that something was very wrong. Mastering Chinese was irrelevant to my going abroad, so I decidedly switched from the Chinese department of Lanzhou Institute of Education to the English department of Zhochuan Institute of Education and continued to study English. Had I continued with my Chinese studies, the direction and goal that I had set in my heart in 1979 would have fallen through and all my previous efforts would have been in vain. I spent more than 14 years traversing through a fuzzy swamp. My purpose of talking about fuzzy swamps is to tell all Chanyuan celestials that your goal after becoming a Chanyuan celestial is to become a celestial being, to go to the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. Before reaching your destination, you are immersed in fuzzy swamps constantly. Although you have been self-improving and self-refining for several years or even decades, you feel that there is no obvious change, you make no improvement in sublimation, every day seems to be the same as the day before and the day before that, and you still have a lot of difficulty and confusion to overcome before you. At this time, your confidence can be shaken easily and your faith can be blasted heavily. But please remember my example of learning English. It is only by continuous persistence, patience, and hard work to light up the sacred lamp in your heart, and with the perseverance of never straying from your path toward reaching heaven, that you will pass through the fuzzy swamp and reach your glorious end goal. In fact, the above principles apply to all people who want to realize their innermost goals. Whenever you are in a dilemma, it is a fuzzy swamp. Just give up your judgment first and make your unremitting effort by biting the bullet and persevering toward your fixed direction and goal. Then, after 3 years, 10 years, or maybe even 80 years or a lifetime, so long as you stick to it, you will be able to cross your personal fuzzy swamp and reach the ideal shore. Man proposes, but the greatest creator disposes that as long as you stick to it, rubbing ropes against wooden boards will eventually cut into them.